And we're live. Hello, folks. Anybody out there on YouTube land? We're just on a wee minute early just to say, check everything's working okay. Goodness, that was a bit of a night. And I've got a doggy barking away here in the background. You gonna be? You all right, love? Come on. No. There we go. So there's 11 o'clock, folks. I'll just say hello. I'm Doc Sloan. Welcome to my science fiction station. And we're popping on tonight just to have a wee bit of a chat about what sci-fi, fantasy and horror happens to be on our radar. And I thought we'd have a particular chat about a couple of movies and a couple of books, I suppose, really, for tonight. And yeah, so if anybody's out there, say hello. We're popping on a wee bit later. We thought 11 o'clock might be a nice time to pop on. I've just got my doggy down here. How you doing, Holly? So, yeah, normally we're on with our June book club. And I've just had to do a wee bit of a run there because I'm just off from a 2-hour chat with Dr. Cara Kennedy, which I was really sad. I had to, gotta go because I've got to do this at 11 o'clock. So you have to bear with me a wee second. I might have a doggy that needs a bit of attention. Are you okay? But as I said, welcome to the Doghouse, our little space station, if you like, for all things science fiction. You okay, pet? And just I thought we'd have a wee bit of a chat about a few things tonight that have been out and about. And in particular, I suppose that the different topics that I wanted to have a wee bit of a natter about tonight would be a couple of films. First of all, Late Night with the Devil. It's a rather good Australian horror film. And then Spaceman, which is the Adam Sandler film that's on Netflix at the moment. I thought we could maybe have a wee bit of a natter about Fallout that's coming soon. And also have a wee chat about the Three-Body Problem, which is on Netflix. Excuse me. But the first sort of thing I wanted to chat about tonight, I suppose, in terms of all things science fiction, was just that it was quite sad to hear that Louis Gossett Jr. had passed away. Who's an absolutely cracking actor. I was just doing a little bit of nosing about him on the web and stuff. But in particular, wanted to sort of chat about his contributions to science fiction, particularly one special role in particular, I think. And I was just having a wee look into it. So very sad to hear he's passed. He's had a good innings. He was born in 1936 and just passed away this year. And I was doing a wee bit of reading about him just on Wikipedia, stuff that I didn't know about him. I found out that he was a stage actor and did his stage debut at 17 and cut his teeth in the theatre through the late 50s and 60s. And then I suppose the first time that I would have been aware of him was in the miniseries Roots. There you go, you all right? Sorry, I've got a German Shepherd going nuts here. You okay? He's just looking for a bit of attention. Yeah, where he won an Emmy for the outstanding lead actor for a single appearance in a drama or comedy series. And of course, then I suppose the other sort of thing that we would have, especially myself in Northern Ireland, would have seen him in would have been An Officer and a Gentleman, where he played Gunnery Sergeant Emil Foley. That's where he got the Best Supporting Actor Oscar for that role. And I'm just reading on Wikipedia that sort of said that it allowed him to choose, I suppose, certain types of roles, you know. And in particular, I suppose the things that I'd seen him in, things like The Punisher and Iron Eagle and stuff like that. But one film that came along in the 80s that absolutely blew me away, I loved it so much. In fact, I've watched it again very recently, was Wolfgang Petersen's Enemy Mine. And sort of knowing that kind of Louis Gossett Jr. went after this role, I think is quite interesting. But Enemy Mine came out in 1985. You all right? Do you want out? Excuse me a wee second. All right, you right. Okay, hang on. There you go. On you go. Go on. There you go. Sorry about that, folks. Just that time of night where the dogs are a wee bit restless. I've opened the doors and let all the heat out, and she's probably not wanting to go out. She's just sitting down there. You all right, Holly? Yeah, you go over to your bed. You want to go over to your bed? Oh, just going to get bothered by dogs in the doghouse tonight. Not that I mind. I hope you folks don't mind too much. But yeah, Wolfgang Petersen's Enemy Mine in 1985, I absolutely adore. and I thought it was a cracking film. And as much as kind of whenever I watched it back in the days, I think I would have watched it on video. Um, this film starring Dennis Quaid and Louis Gossett Jr. and Brian James is in it as well. By the way, he's one of my all-time favorite actors. I was absolutely stunned by Louis Gossett Jr.'s performance in that film. Kind of because I hadn't read the box properly, if you see what I mean. After watching the film, I kind of wondered who's that actor that's played this role of Jerry in this film. And I went, bloody hell, that was Louis Gossett Jr. Wow. And I was just so impressed, Excuse me, folks. Right, big love. Come on. I'll be right back. Right, come on. Ah, dear, oh dear. Right, sorry about that. I just realised it's that time of night when they get their dental sticks, and that's what they're after just before bed. So apologies, folks. God, it's been a hectic day. Joseph Smith saying, hello there and howdy. How you doing, Joseph? Yeah, I think we have a wee bit of a mention about Louis Gossett Jr. Last night when we were doing the book club, but I just thought we would talk a wee bit more about it. And Enemy Mine is an absolutely cracking film. And as I said, I wonder who that actor is because I hadn't quite read the box properly. Watched the film. I was blown away by this performance, which is completely in makeup. And the character of Jerry, who's a drag fighter pilot, if you like, is has the most wonderful physical expression, if you like, within the film. I was amazed at what a great job the actor did with this character, and it's an interesting little film. I think we chatted a wee bit about it the other night. Um, Enemy Mine kind of is originally a science fiction novella by Barry B. Longyear. It was published in 1979 in Isaac Asimov's science fiction magazine. Just letting you know a wee bit about the story. It picked up the 1970 Nebula Award for Best Novella, the 1980 Hugo Award for Best Novella, and it eventually spawned two sequels, which haven't been made into films, but they're called The Tomorrow Testament and The Last Enemy. And ultimately, these were put together just for anybody who's interested in the book. I'm quite interested in it. I might maybe try and track a copy of this down, actually. But ultimately published in an anthology called The Enemy Papers, which came out in 1998. And it contains the author's preferred version of Enemy Mine. But Louis Gossett Jr.'s performance in this film was just simply incredible to me. And I actually thought back at the time when I thought such things mattered, that it was worthy of an Oscar. There's Carla saying, "What's up, Doc?" and Dennis Quaid and Louis Gossett Jr. That's right, and it's almost a buddy film in a way. It's kind of almost, how would you put it? It's almost a Robinsonade, I think, if we know the term, from Daniel Defoe's Robinson Crusoe. Science fiction has a number of kind of tropes in that some people would discuss. That the Robinsonade would develop into what we call the Edisonade, which is a particular type of hero who's often an inventor hero. This isn't that kind of thing. This is more similar, I suppose, to Robinson Crusoe. So in many ways, I suppose the character of Davidge would be a kind of Robinson Crusoe. They'd almost both be kind of Robinson Crusoes, if you like. But I wouldn't look at Jerry as a Man Friday, if you like. But the story is essentially about, I suppose, a war between mankind and I suppose a reptilian race called the Drac, and it kind of the plot of the film results basically is out of this action, if you like. These two fighter pilots are kind of both shot down onto this planet, one Drac and one human, and after a bit of trying to kill each other, which is quite good, they kind of decide that they have to work together to survive. And it's one of those stories where I suppose you get this mutual acceptance of each other, a mutual learning of culture through these two characters. Um, and it's the character of Jerry. Jerry's name's Jariba Shigan, and he's a Drac fighter pilot. For the time, I think he's a fascinating character. And I'll just catch up with your comments a few seconds. Carlos is saying he just passed away recently, and Joseph Smith was saying that was odd, had to reload you, and the Jariba. That's it. Yeah, it's Jariba Shigan is Jerry, isn't he? The name that David gives him. I'm trying to remember. But it's one of those. It's a fascinating character, and the physicality of Louis Gossett Jr. And I was so impressed by him as an actor in this movie. Not that he wasn't impressive elsewhere, but to me, within science fiction, this is one of the best ever roles. One of the best performances of an actor, certainly in full makeup, where the actor themselves is completely hidden, and even the voice, if you like, is. But the mannerisms of Jerry, and I still, I still remember them with great fondness, even from years ago. And she'd never seen it. So when I was doing all these funny little Jerry things, as I would call them, little Jerry moments, for a bit of fun, and I knew that she wouldn't quite get them, and I absolutely adored it. So it's one of those great performances in science fiction, and a wonderful science fiction film. I was reading a wee bit about the making of the film, and that it was a bit of a shit fest, and essentially it got. I suppose they kind of had to remake it after initially making it. It was initially filmed with a different director, and it didn't go down too well. And apparently, Louis Gossett Jr.'s makeup looked pretty rubbish and stuff like that. But the film company decided to reinvest the money. I think about 25 million, to Wolfgang Peterson to direct, and they redid the movie, and I think it's a cracking film. It has echoes of things like Robinson Crusoe on Mars and stuff like that, I think. But somebody was pointing out they felt that it was quite true to the original story. But it is a good film. I suppose, about how we can probably all just get along with each other, if you like, ultimately, and through shared culture and mutual understanding, this kind of thing. And Jerry's character is particularly sad, I think. Well, I found it quite sad, but I suppose it's a hopeful character as well. Jerry's character is autogamic. In other words, he's how would we put it? It's like a self-fertilizing kind of form of parthenogenesis, if you like. So as much as these two, you get the sense that Jerry's possibly a male throughout the film, but he's not. And ultimately, Jerry, with the help of Jerry, gives birth to a baby Drac called Zamus. And unfortunately, the birthing process causes that character to die. And then the rest of the film carries on with Davidge teaching Zamus about his lineage and his own people and this kind of stuff. And of course, there's a little bit of action stuff, and Zamus is captured, and Davidge has to go all out to rescue him and stuff like that. And it's a wonderful film. It might seem ridiculously low budget, but whenever I watched it back in the 80s, I thought the special effects were good. I thought the world looked fantastic, but the apps and Dennis Quaid was really, really good in it. But the absolute standout thing in this film was Louis Gossett Jr. as Jerry. One of the great performances of all time, especially in the makeup, and to have the actor so invisible, and so it's a very iconic role, I think. A very impressive role. I was just blown away by it. It's a film I've watched several times over the years, but every time I do watch it, I watch him. I just watch Jerry, or Louis Gossett Jr., and I've always absolutely marveled at that performance. And I wonder, we talk about all this stuff these days, actors and makeup and all of this kind of stuff, and how long they have to go into this kind of thing. But you often kind of lose the actor sometimes in these kind of prosthetics and makeup and stuff. And it's kind of where I don't know, the physicality is lost in that makeup, but the physicality and energy that he brings to this role is so, that, as I said, I didn't know who the actor was the first time I watched it. Went Louis Gossett Jr. Wow, just bloody hell, that's amazing. Jerry is such a real alien, if that makes sense, in terms of fantasy and science fiction, horror, and all these things that we see on the screen. There are seldom, characters and alien beings as well realized as Jerry. And he's one of my favorite characters from science fiction. I'm sad to say I've never read the books, but doing a wee bit of research for this, and we were chatting a bit about it the other night, I definitely feel like it kind of almost has that sense that there's a bit more to the story. And there's a few books like that within science fiction. The ones that I could think of would be The Forever War, where as much as a lot of us know The Forever War, there's actually two more stories in that trilogy, and the other one was Logan's Run. I was thinking on that we're all probably know Logan's Run a bit, but there's more to Logan's story as well. This kind of thing again, maybe it's just a trope of science fiction fantasy writers that they love trilogies, but there's a bit more to this. And I was reading a wee bit of the blurb, if you like, about the Tomorrow Testament and the Last Enemy. And so I'm definitely going to see if I can pick up a copy of the Enemy Papers and have a read at it. And then if we can do that sometime in the future, I'd love to come back and do a wee episode on the Enemy Papers and Enemy Mine. But just as I said, we were talking. The actor has sadly just passed away. Louis Gossett Jr.'s turned up in other science fiction as well, and he had a good role in Stargate in the I think the last couple of seasons. I think I'm not too sure. Was it season 9 possibly? As one of the Jafar, I think. But again, he was quite impressive in that. But the role of Jerry, and that's kind of why I wanted to talk to him about it, a little bit about it tonight. And for those who haven't seen Enemy Mine, Wolfgang Petersen's Enemy Mine, it's a cracking wee science fiction film from the 80s, with definitely one of the finest performances, I think, of all time in it, and definitely deserved praise. So there we go. Very, very sad to hear that he's passed away. But I'm always fascinated by how he did Jerry, because as a character, I think Jerry's a cracker, an absolute brilliant character, and to see him realized on the screen through all this makeup, the personality that he brought to it is tip-top acting of its very best, I think. I'll catch up with your comments a wee bit here, folks. Sorry about all that was Holly giving off because I hadn't given her dental stick. So we'll just see what we're saying, and yeah, do. Excuse me, Carlos Crescelius saying, years ago I saw a movie with Lee Marvin where an American and Japanese soldier are trapped on a Pacific island. Very similar. It's Hell in the Pacific, isn't it? And it's Lee Marvin and is it Toshiro Mifune? If I'm not mistaken, I've seen that. That's a John Boorman film, isn't it? Let me just quickly check. Yeah, it would be very. It is. Lee Marvin and Toshiro Mifune. I haven't seen that in years. That's a good film. And it is a John Boorman film. Yeah, I like John Boorman a lot. He lives in, I don't know if he's still alive or not, but he lived in Ireland for, don't know, yeah, he is. He's 91, goodness gracious. He lives in Ireland, doesn't he? And he filmed a good Point Blank as well, with Lee Marvin's a cracking film. Of course, Zardoz, but my favorite film of all time easily is Excalibur by John Boorman. I absolutely love it. But yeah, that's very like Hell in the Pacific, I think. Yeah, it's a good point there. Joseph Smith saying Gossett did that voice work entirely on his own. His body work was amazing. I'm on the Logan's Run's fan page. Excellent. Oh, I love Logan's Run. I was traumatized by Zardoz. That's another one of those, isn't it? Save a bit of money. Is it doing Zardoz? Sean Connery was his own driver, I think. It's kind of, I always tried to figure out the nature of it to the Wizard of Oz, but it is a bizarre film. And yes, Sean Connery and his wee red speedos and his ponytail and his revolver and the big flying heads. I've got it on DVD. I'll have to have a look at it again. That's Joseph Smith saying, "I've got to get going, but I'll see you later." No problem, Joseph. Thank you. But yeah, that was a good. Yeah, Hell in the Pacific would be a kind of similar film, I think. Now that's a hell of two incredible actors, Lee Marvin and Toshiro Mifune in the same film. Really, really good. But as I said, all things science fiction here. I just thought we'd have a wee mention. And in terms of science fiction, that I think it's a standout role. And to do that voice work, and however he worked that character, all of the mannerisms of the character, the shape of the face of Jerry, the makeup, everything. Incredible, and little affectations that the character has. It's a lovely. I think it's a lovely film. I think the relationship between Davidge and Jerry, they get on each other's nerves and stuff sometimes, and causes problems. But the two characters work really well together. I think it's one of science fiction's great pairings, if you like. And it's a good film. It has a good emotional heart to it, if you like. And has a very satisfying ending. And I always wondered, wow, that's a good one, back in the days when, and it didn't come across as a big vulgar, if you like, science fiction film. It had a real heart to it, and I think, but that's the role that I'll always remember Louis Gossett Jr. for, and to me, he was elevated by that role. I think I simply thought he was fantastic. And especially when you look at makeup on aliens and stuff prior to that, it's the early 80s. Some of this stuff's not that good. You can look at, I suppose, science fiction, things like that, alien makeup on Star Trek and stuff. It generally amounts to people being painted a different color, giving them a little antenna or something. It's he's unrecognizable as Jerry, and just Jerry is very real, I think, as a character on the screen. But the lengths that actor must have went to do that performance, I don't think it would have been effortless. If you see, I mean, it must have required real work. And it works really well, and Dennis Quaid plays against it very well as well. But they're one of science fiction's odd couples, I think, is a good way of putting it. And was when they said I'd seen him in things like Roots when I was quite young, and thing over here, I suppose. Very big in the United Kingdom and Northern Ireland. It was a big mini series. It was a very popular show, and certainly as a Northern Irish kid, it kind of gave me a lot of insight into slavery in America and that kind of thing. But Iron Eagle was a bit of a favorite of mine back then. And yeah, I said we've seen him in Stargate and a few other things, but that's the role I think that I'll always remember him for, and still would sing his praises for it. I think it's an exceptional role, Cara I think Lou went full method on Enemy. I don't know if he was a method actor, but yeah, he inhabits the skin of Jerry, doesn't he? It's a cracker, absolute cracker, It's very sad to hear his passing, though. I think he had a good innings as years go for a human being, But certainly a person who'll leave this world with a bit of respect, I think. But there we go. That's Louis Gossett Jr. And for anyone who hasn't seen this film, check it out. That would be Wolfgang Petersen's Enemy Mine. It's a 1985 science fiction film with Dennis Quaid, and it has Brian James in it. By the way, almost any film with Brian James in it tends to be great. He's one of my favorite actors. Brian James, from Blade Runner and things like that. But he's a consummate kind of character actor, isn't he? He turns up in all sorts of weird and wacky sci-fi and fantasy films, and was very, very good in as the general in The Fifth Element, I think. He's a great actor. I love Brian James. So the other thing tonight, then I thought we'd have a wee bit of a chat about. So we've got a few things to have a matter about, and I have gushed a little bit about this, but I'd like to talk a bit about it in a little bit more detail, and maybe try and give a bit of a review of it. Is we've been talking about the Adam Sandler film Spaceman, which is on Netflix at the minute. I've seen a few of the ratings of this on these kind of things, like the what is it called, Rotten Tomatoes and this kind of thing. And they tend to be giving it like a sort of 5.5 out of 10, this kind of thing. And I thought that was pretty unfair. And so we're going to have a wee chat about the film Spaceman tonight. So if just sort of spoilers ahead, if anybody hasn't seen it, maybe you want to, not listen. But I'll try not to spoil it too much. But simply put, Spaceman is based on this book, which I'm reading at the minute. I was at it last night actually. So where are we get to? Yeah, about 50 pages in. I'm absolutely loving it. So the book is Spaceman of Bohemia by Yaroslav Kalfer. A couple of books, in fact, rather interesting. I'm looking forward to getting this. He's also written A Brief History of Living Forever, and this book has an extract from it at the back. And I'm enjoying the book so far, and I'm getting the sense that the movie is pretty faithful. A couple of little changes to the book, but in general, pretty faithful. I'm loving it. I think it's exceptionally well written. But we thought we'd have a wee chat about it. So Spaceman is, how do we put it? It's a kind of the idea is that there's a big cosmic ribbon has appeared. In the book, it's between Venus and Earth. And in the film, it's kind of just around Jupiter. And Adam Sandler, let me just grab this here, plays a Czechoslovakian cosmonaut called Jakub Prochaska, who's the sole astronaut, if you like, on board this ship called the Jan Hus 1. And it's a kind of a bit of a race to get to this cloud, and he's and to do various scientific tests. And the story, I suppose, works on a number of levels. We've got Kerry Mulligan as Jakub's wife, Lenka, Kunal Nayar as Peter, Isabella Rossellini as Commissioner Tuna, and Paul Dano as the voice of Hanush. And Hanush is fast becoming one of my favorite characters in science. And Hanush is this gigantic spider, this alien that has boarded the Jan Hus 1 and starts to investigate the memories and, I suppose, psychological nature of the cosmonaut Jakub, played by Adam Sandler. And the Hanush is voiced by Paul Dano. It's so that it's kind of it has I suppose hints of 2001, this kind of thing, and I suppose it's kind of a study in loneliness and being lonely and running away from your problems, trying to hide this kind of thing. And really at the heart of this film is the relationship between Jakub and Lenka, his wife. And I suppose the backstory is that, as the story as it goes, is that he's meant to be able to communicate with his wife as he goes towards this ribbon. And the backstory really is that his wife has miscarried at a certain point, and he's kind of not really been there for her, this kind of thing. And at the point before going on this mission, he's got Lenka pregnant again, and so off he goes into space. And Lenka's character is supposedly meant to play the dutiful wife, and they're meant to have this sort of communication going on that kind of the whole world can kind of check in on. And so basically, she's decided she's had enough, and she leaves him. The way he's left her, if you like. The film is kind of an exploration of inner space, if you like, as well as outer space. But basically, the character of Hanush, this big spider, explores kind of the mind of Adam Sandler's Jakub, if you like, and wants to kind of understand why he's left his wife behind, this kind of thing, and what's he up to. And so, as much as it's a kind of outer space film, it's really I'd argue that this film, this book, are kind of akin to the inheritors of what the new wave really wanted. It has an inner space, an exploration of inner space, um, and an exploration really of the mind of Jakob, and via this kind of gigantic spider, which is almost kind of like a psychoanalyst. And so initially it has little aspects of maybe, oh, is this going to be a scary film? Is it what's this big spider? And maybe big spiders might put people off. But you start to sort of see this kind of little relationship develop between Jakob and Hanish, and the sense that Hanish has been on Earth, around Lenka, played by Kerry Mulligan. And it's the backstory within the looks into, how would you put it, the Velvet Revolution in Czechoslovakia. And you can get real, I suppose, like, having read a little bit of the book, getting a real aspect of sort of some semi-biographical things with the author here. But the film is incredibly well realized, and I don't really want to spoil it, but I would highly recommend it to anyone. But it's this exploration of the relationship between Jakob and Lenka, and why Jakob has left, and in many ways it's a romantic film. It's a love movie, I think, and it deals with loneliness, being alone, and running away from your problems. This kind of thing. That's really at the core of this movie. It has a big emotional heart. You know. Carlos is saying there, today Hollywood can't make a movie half as good with budgets of hundreds of millions of dollars. And Colleges and Cannibals is saying it sounds terribly arty. It's not really. It's pretty. It's a beautiful film in some ways. The inside the spaceship, the Jan Hus one, all of that, consider that a sort of set for the bulk of the film, I think, is really well done. Special effects are really good, but not overpowering, and it has a heart to it. You know, they don't all have to be laser beams and rocket ships, this kind of thing. But I absolutely adored it, and maybe it is because I'm a guy that likes to gush at this kind of stuff. But I kind of find it sad in places, but then actually quite a joyous film. And I'll not be scared to say I had a good couple of cries at it. With my wife going, "What the hell's wrong with you?" But it's a lovely story. The way it's written is very good. You kind of get these combinations of moving back and forward in time, looking at Jakob and Lenka's relationship, and being discussed then kind of with Jakob and the giant spider Hanush. And I suppose there's also a kind of link to this kind of Czechoslovakian fairy tale, kind of something about like a bit like a nymph who, this hero wants to kiss her, but if he kisses her, he'll drown. This kind of thing, and it's a kind of it's not almost not romantic. It's about repairing relationships almost. Why do we run away from things when we should stay? I think that's the gist of it. But I suppose that's at its heart, but what you've got on the screen is something that's quite mesmerizing. And Adam Sandler's comedy. I watched it in bed with dog noodles, absolutely engrossed, and just sort of comments about it and stuff like that. I don't know. Having started tearing into the book, I'm really enjoying it. And I think certainly we talk about being faithful to source material. It's the characters all have their Czechoslovakian names, this kind of thing, and even there are references to all sorts of things in Czechoslovakian history. The Czech Republic now, I suppose. Things like the name of the ship Jan Hus, this kind of thing, and it was just got me thinking a little bit about. I suppose it's also about being on the wrong side of history, isn't it? That kind of thing. Um, Particularly, when we get into the backstory of Jakob's character. But in terms of sci-fi, that's re- this is a film that's incredibly well done. So, oddly enough, I said it's directed by Johan Renck, who I know is Staka Bo. Who did, I don't know if, the musician, from this, I would know him from the song "Here We Go Again." And I know he directs pop videos, etc., etc. So the director, as the thing that I would have seen that he's done, uh, but this is only his second film. But he also did the videos for David Bowie, the last videos for David Bowie, Black Star and Lazarus. Black Star, I thought was a bit. Wasn't very much into the tune, but I really liked the video for it. Well, the sort of sci-fi aspects of it. um, and apparently, well, just checking out on Wikipedia, etc. Excuse me. Mm, there's a suggestion that Mr. Rank is being signed up to direct a new version of the Day of the Triffids, which could be quite interesting. Well, let's see. Catching up with your comments. Carlos says, "Oh, Colleges of Cableton sounds terribly arty. It's not. It's not that. It's not an art house film. I don't think. But it has some Europe. I think it's Channing Tatum's production company. But it's no. I don't know. It's maybe a bit grown up for some people. It's not. It's not a. I don't know. I don't know if kids would like it or not. But if I actually really enjoyed it. Really good. Carlos Cosales is saying Sandler is a better actor than he's given credit for. And Colleges and Cannibal saying Pixels sounds more sci-fi. I haven't seen Pixels. I didn't want to watch it. While we're talking Sandler, would that be fair? I would say some of his films I've seen, I've enjoyed them, and others not so much. Some of them I kind of, some of the characters sometimes I thought were almost the same character in different films. But no, if he needed, well, I don't know if he needed to prove that he could act really well, but he certainly did it in this film, and I was quite impressed by him. Lanka was really, really good. The voice acting of Paul Dano and Hannah, you got to check out this Spider. He's great. Um, very interesting alien. Yeah, Colleges and Camps reminded of all those Iron Curtain cartoons they broadcast on the TV in the 1970s. I think of an astronaut and an arachnoid alien. I think Project Hail Mary, although I do not know which came first, or if there was any influence either way. Probably none. Bad connection this evening. I'm okay here. I think. I don't know. We get a few bad connections now and then, but everything seems to be going okay here. Anti-complot du per ton sang-froid says, "Do you believe Stanley Kubrick speak about the fake moon footage in Shining?" Oh, I would know nothing about it. To be honest with you. And hello from France. Bonjour. I'll say bonsoir. Hello. Thank you very much for joining us. The only kind of stuff I'm not a big. Well, no, I wouldn't say that. I do like Stanley Kubrick's films. I don't. Do you speak about the fake moon language footage in Shining? I honestly don't know about that. I'm not a big fan of The Shining. I suppose that the bonsoir, yes. Je parle un peu français, but not my French is not good. Let me see. Kind of the Kubrick stuff that I would be more aware of would be the work on 2001 and his collaboration with Arthur C. Clarke. Because there's a book about by Arthur C. Clarke. I've got it here somewhere. In relation to that, I suppose that how they got together, how they made the film, this kind of thing. And I suppose I've got a copy of 2001, and one of my all-time favorites, I suppose, would be Arthur C. Clarke's Of Time and Stars, which is a book that really I got into very, very young, got me into science fiction. It has The Sentinel in it, which is the original short story that became 2001. But I would know nothing about that, I'm afraid. Do I think the moon landings are fake? No, would be my answer there. Um, there's things on the moon. There's little things. If you've got a laser pointer, you can ping it at it, and that means somebody had to put it there. So that's the way I would look at it. Basically about that, though, isn't it? Let me have a wee look. It's a long time since I saw that. That's the American thriller, which a reporter discovers that a supposed Mars landing by a crewed mission to the planet has been faked via a conspiracy involving the government and, under duress, the crew themselves. Written and directed by Peter Hyams and produced by Lou Grade's ITC Entertainment. Stars Elliot Gould as the reporter, James Brolin, Sam Waterston, and O.J. Simpson as the astronauts. Hal Holbrook plays a senior NASA official who goes along with the governmental and corporate interests and helps to fake the mission. Excuse me. So what's that? That's 1977. The Shining's 1980. And so that idea, I think, has been around for a bit. And I don't know, but I suppose it is a conspiracy theory, isn't it? I'm like you. First time I see The Shining, I don't understand the interest in this movie, but I think the interest of the movie is in a hidden sense or message. It's one of the few. Yeah, I don't mind it, but I've never thought it was that great. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not a big Stephen King fan. He's not my kind of horror writer. I've read a few things by him. Let me see, what have I read? I've read The Talisman and The Eyes of the Dragon, and I've read the Bachman books, which are the short stories. And of all the things that I've read by him, I really enjoyed the Bachman books. And so, but he's I don't know, he's a bit long-winded. And I suppose, isn't he said that he wrote quite a few of his books on cocaine. I thought it kind of showed. But the film of the sequel was enjoyable. I saw about half of it and haven't seen the rest of it. I got a friend who did movie in France. Sorry, I can't see the rest of that there. There's a little circle on the bottom of the live chat that always covers up the last little bit of the sentence. Is that you've got a friend who did a movie in France? Is that anti-complot to put ton sang-froid? I'll just call it anti-complot to make things a little bit more truncated, But it's interesting there. There you go. There's a film that came out. Lou Grade's, made plenty of films over here in Britain. Things like the Medusa Touch and stuff like that. Is that the one I'm thinking of with Richard Burton? Who was accused of having diarrhea of the process? And he says there's no technology for record and transfer footage and direct to TV in these years. Yeah, so I suppose there you go. But the point I was making was that Capricorn 1 is the plot to this conspiracy, isn't it? It's an already existing science fiction film 3 years before The Shining, whatever people want to say about. I don't know when's Kubrick supposed to have faked the moon landings. I suppose during the moon landings. That's the 1969 onwards, isn't it? I suppose. Let me see. First human-made object to touch the moon was Luna 2 in 1959. 1969, Apollo 11 was the first crewed mission to land. 6 crewed landings between 69 and 72. So if Kubrick was to fake the moon landings, that's when he would have had to have done it, between 69 and 72. But I don't know. I think it's. I don't really believe it, to be honest with you, because if you look into the moon landings, as much as it's the Americans landing on the moon, there's a global effort to put them there. And if you look at things like, oh, what is it you call it? It's a cracking wee film. Is it Parks? Was that it? Bear with me a wee second. No, I'm not finding it. I'll tell you what, I'll look up the Northern Irish actor who's in it, who's Sam Neill. As much as he says he's a New Zealand actor, he's born in Northern Ireland, wasn't he? Because he's in, what's the film I'm thinking of? Bear with me a wee second. Let's see, filmography. It's a really good wee film too. And it's kind of about, let me see if I can just, it's The Dish, sorry, I'm thinking on. The Dish is a 2000 Australian historical comedy drama that tells the story of Parkes Observatory's role in relaying the live television of humanity's first steps on the moon during the Apollo 11 mission in 1969. It was the top grossing Australian film in 2000. It's a very, very funny film. And it's really about their role in the moon landings, this tiny little observatory in the middle of a sheep paddock in Australia. It's very funny is that the Americans turn up and the band plays the American national anthem, and it's the theme from Hawaii Five-0. It's a lovely comedy, but yeah. No technique for recording transfer footage and direct to TV in these years. Who knows? How our technology develops out of things like the military and that kind of stuff, you know. Is it Carlos Corsese saying, "King, if only they'd hired Lucas to film the fake moon." Oh, he would have made it. Yeah, that could have been a lot more interesting. Couldn't it turn the moon into a Death Star, you know? But I look at the moon a lot, and yeah, you can bounce a laser off it if you like. But there's stuff on it. That's that. How did it get there? I suppose, you know. But I suppose again, that's the manned missions we're talking about. There've been other missions to the moon, you know. The Chinese have landed some tardigrades on the moon, haven't they, recently? But new technology for record and transfer footage and direct to TV. I see what you mean in these years. Who knows? I don't know. I suppose I wasn't born when it happened, but yeah, it's one of those things. I suppose that some conspiracy theories I think have a reason to be, you know, but I'm not too sure about that one. I also think about all the technologies that have developed that we now have because of, you know, the space race and because of things like the DARPA program and stuff like that in America. You know, as much as we have the World Wide Web, we have the internet first, I suppose. You know, but I would not be in a position to comment on it. I'm well aware of the whole conspiracy theory around Stanley Kubrick doing that kind of thing. But I also think he was quite a volatile individual, you know, and I don't think he would have been good at keeping a secret. I think, you know, DARPA things are interesting. ARPANET, yeah. All of those technologies developed really around the, you know, the nuclear weapons program and stuff. But out of that, we've got all sorts of things, you know. And yeah, it's interesting how technology bleeds down to the public, if you like, you know. But yeah, it's one of those interesting things. But I like Kubrick's films, you know. I love A Clockwork Orange, and let's see, Clockwork Orange would probably be my favorite of his films. In 2001, Space Odyssey is incredible. Quite like Full Metal Jacket. I didn't like his last film. Was it Eyes Wide Shut? I wasn't a fan of that at all. Is it The Duelists? Who's that? Is that a Stanley Kubrick film? Hang on a second. I'm not sure. That's a cracking movie. Is that Kubrick? No, it's Ridley Scott. Sorry. It's an early Ridley Scott film. That's what I was thinking. I'm getting mixed up. Let's have a wee look. Spartacus, I think, is that as well? That's pretty good. There we go. Shining Tooth, Clockwork Orange, Full Metal Jacket. Oh, Doctor Strangelove. There we go. Yeah, that would be my favorite Kubrick's films: Clockwork Orange, 2001, Doctor Strangelove. That's the three for me. And I'm often known for talking about our precious fluids on the channel, and that's from Doctor Strangelove. Mm, there we go. ARPANET. What are your top five movie films? Well, that's a tricky one. My number one movie of all time, I think I've said, is John Boorman's Excalibur. I love that film. But I would be hard pressed. I think Ridley Scott's 1982 European cut of Blade Runner, but not the other versions, only the European cut. Everything else is just annoying. Would be probably in there. It's a tricky one for me because it's films I love, but let me see. I would shove all the Mad Max films into one category. I'd put them in there. I don't know. Recently, I don't know. Hard to Be a God by Alexei German, sorry, and I love Stalker as well. But I'm into all sorts of movies. But yeah, it's a hard one to think of. I'm actually hoping to do a set of videos sometime soon, anti-complot on stuff like this. My top 10 sci-fi, my top 10 sci-fi movies, TV shows, this kind of thing, books, short stories. It's something that I said I wouldn't do actually because I said that whenever you do top tens like this in your society, it's often the sign that your society's about to collapse. If you see what I mean, it goes back to the seven wonders of the world and Herodotus and stuff like this. Once you start categorizing what's the 10 best things about your culture, it's usually a sign of decline, isn't it? But yeah, I suppose I love Akira Kurosawa films, and my favorite ones would be probably Sanjuro and Redbeard. And oh god, there's too many actually. Throne of Blood and Seven Samurai as well. I love all of those, but I'd say my favorite Akira Kurosawa film is Sanjuro. I love it. It's so funny. And the ending's insane. Excuse me. There you go. There's a few. Put on the spot there, but yeah. But Excalibur is my favorite film by John Boorman. I think it's exquisite. It's just amazing, and I've watched it so many times, and I've never got bored of it once. And it's filmed in Ireland. It's got a whole bunch of quite famous actors just before they really became famous, and quite a lot of famous Irish actors in it. It's a cracking one. But I'll tell you a French film that I love. It's called Tout le matin du monde. Have you ever seen that anti-complot with Gérard Depardieu? I love that film. I wouldn't say it's in my top 10, but it would be close. I saw it one time and just thought, this is incredible. It was about San Colom, I think, and the viola and the viol. There's Justin Case saying hi from Denmark. Hello, Justin. How are you guys? We're good. I'm taking a break, busy writing a portrait on Christopher Priest, whom all of you, of course, know recently died. I did not, actually. Let me have a wee look. Maybe. So we were just having a little chat tonight, Justin, about Louis Gossett Jr., who recently passed away. Let's have a look. Oh, that's sorry, I missed that. That was that's February. Thank you for pointing that out. Christopher Mackenzie Priest, a British novelist and science fiction writer. He passed away on the 2nd of February this year. I had no idea. Thank you for letting me know. His works include Fugue for Darkening Island, The Inverted World, The Affirmation, The Glamour, The Prestige, and The Separation. Strongly influenced by the science fiction of H.G. Wells. In 2006 was appointed vice president of the excuse me. Pardon me, of the International H.G. Wells Society. Let's just have a wee quick look. He died from small cell carcinoma on the 2nd of February 2020 at the age of 80. Well, he had a good innings, as I like to say. But yeah, for anybody who's a fan of him, You know, got a good few movie novelizations in there as well. Just having a wee look at his novels. The Short Circuit is there, and as a film tie-in, The Prestige, of course, I think is the one that he's really well known for. Yeah, is I love The Prestige. It's and the film's pretty good, isn't it? It's uh, yeah, Christian Bale and Hugh Jackman. Yeah, that's a cracker. No, I did not know that he'd passed away. The Extreme Existence film tie-in novels and stuff like that. There you go. Yeah, it says he wrote the tie-in novel to accompany David Cronenberg's movie Existence and stuff like that. But yeah, the thing that I would know him for would be The Prestige. I think that's what most people would know him for. I don't think I've read much else by him. It would be sci-fi in the 70s, yeah. But thank you very much for letting us know. That's sad to hear. But yeah, The Prestige, cracking, really good, isn't it? Would you excuse me a wee quick second, folks? I'm running out of fluids and I need to run to the loo very, very quickly. And I'll be right back. There we go. Sorry about that, folks. I'll have to let the doggies out there as well. I'll have to probably nip out and close the door in a wee second. But let's have a wee catch up with your comments. In all movie, this anti-complot saying in all movie I watched, there is a 3 months, 3 Excalibur and Private Show in big cinema after we speak. I would love to see it in a big screen. I've never seen it in a big screen. It's 2001's like that as well. I'd love to see it in a big screen. Let me speak about it in France. Excellent. Excalibur, Carlos says, it was the first film I remember Liam Neeson and Patrick Stewart from. That's right. Liam Neeson is Gawain and Patrick Stewart is Leon de Grance. It's there's a hype. It's very operatic, isn't it? There's a hyper reality to it. Patrick Stewart's really good. You know that. It's very quotable, and I think it's the best Arthurian film ever. And I don't know. The only Arthurian film that I think has ever come close to it, and it's not that close, but is in the same kind of vein. Was the very recent? Was it Gawain and the Green Knight? Is that what it was called? Hang on a second. Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. And I adored that, and I thought it had a lot of the sensibilities of Excalibur, starring Dev Patel as Gawain. I'm a big fan of the original story, if you like. And I think whenever it came out, I was pointing out to people what kind of story it really is, and that they don't include the ending in it. And I was kind of rather enjoying the fact that I know what happens and nobody else, you guys don't, But I was kind of hoping that it would send people to the story, if you see what I mean. But that film, I meant to look who'd actually directed that, and it started. Let me just have a wee look. Bear with me a second. Let's have a look. Bang. Yeah, there's a really bad version of that film, by the way, and Sean Connery's in it. It's called Sword of the Valiant. It's one of the worst films ever made. Let me see who directed this. It was directed by Stephen Weeks, based on Sir Gawain and the Green Knight by Anonymous. And in terms of, let's see, locations. It had a, hang on, it had a. Hang on a minute. Stephen Weeks remade the film in 1984. Sort of, couldn't possibly be the same person, could it? Bear with me a second. By the gods! By the Lord of Hell's hirsute Glutius Maximus. Folks, the person who directed Gawain and the Green Knight. Oh, here, hang on. Am I on the wrong film? At 1973. I couldn't possibly be. Well, sorry. Stephen Weeks has directed. That's the 1973 film. That's the wrong one. Hang on. Thank God for that. I thought for a minute it couldn't possibly be the same person, but they've done another Gawain and the Green Knight. And no, it's directed by David Lowry. With screenplay by the same person. Pardon me, and it starred Dev Patel, Alicia Vikander, Joel Edgerton, Sarita Chowdhury, Sean Harris, and Ralph Ineson. Who else is in it? That's not the full cast. Yeah, Barry Keoghan's in it as well. And I thought that's kind of the best Arthurian film I've seen in a long time. But it's still Excalibur, and I said everyone in it is incredible. But these kind of stories, I kind of wondered about it, but let me see. Where's my Gawain and the Green Knight? There you are. Oh. So I'm well into my Arthurian myth. I've read quite a bit on it, different writers over the years, from like people like Chrétien de Troyes to Mallory and stuff like this. That's my copy there. There we go. I'm a big fan of Arthurian legends. And it's a Christmas tale, really. Gawain and how the knights of the Round Table end up wearing the green garter, if you like. So it's kind of an origin of that. But it's a Christmas story, if you like, and it's a cracking film. But yeah, Excalibur, it's such a beautiful film. Here we go. Just in case of saying. My top 10 sci-fi films are Andrei Tarkovsky's Solaris, really good. Borman's Zardos, we were having a chat about that earlier. Kubrick's 2001, A Space Odyssey. Francois Truffaut, Fahrenheit 451. So we've got Solaris, Zardos, 2001, Fahrenheit 451. Oh, there we go. And Brazil. Let's see, hang on. And then what else we got? Contact, Stalker, Blade Runner, Village of the Damned, 1960. I like that one. That's a good set of films. Definitely. Let me see. There's not a bad film amongst that lot. And Cornel Wilde's No Blade of Grass. Oh, I don't think I've seen that. In My Humble Opinion, Chris Priest Best, the 1984 novel, The Glamour. Favorite Priest is The Glamour, says Colleges and Camels. I've not read that, so I've not read much by this man at all. I'm always up for recommendations. Would you reckon a pretty good book? I take it, because I do scribble things down like this. So I'm always after recommendations, folks. The last one somebody gave me, get quite a lot actually. I was given another one, but I haven't been able to find the book. But the last one that somebody gave me was M. John Harrison's. I've got the wrong glasses on for this. Haven't I? Where is he? He's up there somewhere. What was the book called? Light was the last recommendation somebody gave me, and it was a cracker. So I'm always up for stuff. So let's get that down actually. If that's the one you would recommend, I would go with that. Let's see. Priest the Glamour. That sounds interesting. But yeah, always up for. He's someone I have read very little of, to be honest with you. But in terms of the prestige, I really like that, and I really like the film. So Colleges of Campbellton, favorite priest is the Glamour. Anti-complot saying there is a link on my channel movie. You compare that Dross to Excalibur. Fool's Day was 5 days ago. What Dross was it you talking about? Is that the Gawain and the Green Knight? The recent? I kind of liked it, but it's yeah, I really did like it, but I kind of wanted the ending in it. It left the ending open. We are called Zardosians. We use Zardos for theme. We invite people to speak about movies. Very good. But it's in French, but I think you can use translator subtitles. Yeah, I often do. My French is, I suppose the more I get at it, I used to go out with a French girl a long time ago. So my French used to be not too bad, but it's pretty merde these. As I always like to say, je parle un peu français, ich spreche ein bisschen Deutsch. Yeah, but I'll try to get you to speak English. But no, I can read French a lot better than I can speak it, to be honest with you. So the subtitles not, what's the one I really loved was I had to watch it all in French because it was really difficult to get a hold of over here. It was Space Adventure Cobra. If anybody knows that, is a hell of a science fiction animation show. I think it's kind of, was it part Japanese, part French? I think, I don't know, but I had to watch it in French. Unfortunately, I had a friend who was Alsatian, not a dog. I kind of, but like I was speaking a bit of French, German, so anything that I didn't quite figure out, he helped me out with. But that's the kind of last time I had a proper go at, the French without any. I had no English subtitles either. I think I had watched it in French with German subtitles. Zardoz is bunk. I mean, it's from the Wizard of Oz, isn't it? It's a very strange Borman film. I kind of like it, but I haven't seen it at the bit where they grow old and stuff at the end. I think it's pretty interesting, But I'd have to watch it again. I have it on DVD. Just in case, saying Priest died on February the 2nd, not long after his friend, the American science fiction author Terry Bison, who died on January the 10th. Anti-complot says, "You're American." Goodness no. It's maybe the accent, anti-complot. I'm Irish. I'm from Northern Ireland. Away, if you like. But no, I'm from Northern Ireland, place near the Giants Causeway. I'll do point out that I'm very well read in science fiction stuff, but it's a massive field. So there's stuff that, and we're talking about just me trying to get different books these days. I will go after stuff, anything that I'm not familiar with. There's, Mishima's Beautiful Star, and Yaroslav Kalfar. That's my current reading at the minute. So Czechoslovakian and Japanese. And I do not discriminate. If you write science fiction, I'm into it. I want to know about it. It's just there's not enough time, is there? Let's take these recommendations. Because it's great to catch stuff that you've missed, if you know what I mean. Let's go. John Crowley's Engine Summer. Engine Summer. Yeah. It's sad when we lose some some of our sci-fi writers. Uh, okay, so no worries, no need to apologise, Auntie Complot. Good whiskey. Water of life is what whiskey is. Yeah, it's okay. We've got the world's oldest whiskey distillery just around the corner here at Bushmills. But yeah, no, it's I get mistaken for all sorts of things, and um, people used to think I'm yeah American before. It's not an insult, or anything, don't worry about it. It's an unusual accent, and there are not too many people on, I'd say, YouTube and things like that from Northern Ireland. Um, and yeah, sometimes the Ulster accent can be quite harsh, but I don't know. Liam Neeson wouldn't be too that kind of. He's from Ballymena, so that's not too far away from me. But accents here are different every 6 miles. It's not like there's a homogenous Northern Irish accent. You can go 6 miles up the road and people barely speak English. To be honest with you. But yeah, the whiskey's not too bad actually. I tell you that the Scotch whiskey's better. But I don't drink anymore. But when I used to quite enjoy my whiskey, and well, stuff like Tir Connell's not too bad actually, but it's quite like the Glenmorangie. But I quite like the Islay malts and stuff like that. Not, but I don't drink anymore. Excuse me. Priest 1972 Fugue for a Darkening Island is topical. That's more Priest. Yeah, he's not someone I know too much about. That's kind of what intrigues me, guys. If stuff that's not on my radar I've missed, or I've kind of talked about how I used to be able to buy books here. Northern Ireland's not always been a bastion for good literature, or especially during the Troubles, it was very hard to get some stuff here. Fugue for a Darkening Island. Why is it topical? Colleges, if you don't mind me asking. Just in case, as I could recommend myself, but it feels awkward even though I've been writing sci-fi and mystery since 1986. Recommend yourself all the way you like, Justin. I do not mind. I met somebody recently who's also written a science fiction book. In fact, I'll get it for you just to show you. Let me see. So I met the individual who wrote this. Though he's not. I always complain that there's no science fiction writers in Northern Ireland. But his person who lives here, but he's not Irish. This is called Angel Shake by Arjuna Krishna Das. It's a tricky font to read. Set in an alternative 1990s Liverpool, India, Tibet, and the heavenly planet Chandraloka, also known as the Moon, Angel Shake is the gripping tale of two unusual individuals attempt to cope with contrasting lives of chaos and a high-tech, high-octane career. Their delivery of a teleport machine sets them off on a trip of external-internal discovery, poses questions of ethics, conspiracy, mental health, and philosophy, and puts them at odds with the modern Bavarian Illuminati as they seek out an ancient and transcendental treasure without equal. So that's something it's the author themselves has given this to me, and they've asked me to review it, and I've promised them that I would, but on the condition that they know that I've got shitloads to read at the minute. But we will get there. But that's something that's maybe on some people's radar. I think they sort of said it was in kind of a similar mode to the Illuminatus trilogy, if you know what I mean. But we're a science fiction station, Justin, and if you're a science fiction writer, go ahead and recommend yourself. I'm taking just in case is not your real name, but you prefer to be healthy at better. Yes, it's there's a long story behind it, but yeah, but no, I just it's health. Alcohol doesn't agree with me anymore. But I am Irish, and I've drunk my fill, probably for several people over the years. But I always like whiskey, and I wouldn't drink whiskey too much because it drives you mad. Excuse me a wee second, folks. I need to close the back door. My dogs are in, I think. Yeah, they're both out. Good girls. Bienvenue, bienvenue à la maison de chien. Welcome to the doghouse. Yes, indeed. Sorry, we've always got our wee girls here. But yeah. It's just if I drink alcohol, it makes me sick. To be honest with you, which is. But I cut down on alcohol. My father was a bit of an alcoholic and stuff like that, so I just hit it on the head. But I don't miss it. But I'm not altogether impartial to smoking a joint or things like that, But I'm not the healthiest of people. Colleges and Campbell says the story is set during a civil war sparked by the massive influx of African refugees. That's Fugue for Darkening Island. Yeah. Excuse me. Do you think the Matrix movie is kind of DARPA market? I think the Matrix is a bit of a rip-off. It's one of these things that they've cannibalized a number of stories. And I'll show you one of them. One of them is Dune, obviously. Let me see. Where are you, Mr. Farmer? Philip Jose Farmer. Box set of the Fabulous River World books. Where are you? Where would you be? Oh, I really must organize these books sometime. Box sets, where are they? Bear with me a wee second, folks, just to find this, because the cover will kind of give you the idea. Oh, for the love of God, where is it? Must be over here somewhere. There it is. Alright. No, I would argue very much that the Matrix is based on To Your Scattered Bodies Go. There's the cover. But there we are. From the that's the first book of the Fabulous Riverworld. Well, I call it the Fabulous Riverworld series. Is that what it's called? The Riverworld gift box is this, which makes up To Your Scattered Bodies Go, the Fabulous Riverboat. That's why I'm throwing the Fabulous and the Dark Design, the Magical Labyrinth, and Gods of Riverworld. So, as much as anybody knows that, you'll get that from the start of. And how the main character in this is the Captain Sir Richard Francis Burton. But apart from that, you can take that and Dune basically, and you've got the Matrix. Just take it. It's not on a desert planet. It's in cyberspace. That's what I think of it, and I think it. I've never written on it, but I think it's easily proved. To be honest with you. Also, you can try finding a copy of the British anthology Glorifying Terrorism. Lots of splendid stories in it, besides from mine, Ian Watson and more. Okay, Ian Watson. Yeah, we've mentioned Ian Watson a couple of times. I think we mentioned he's chatting about him a bit in our PhD videos, just in relation to all the way back about talking about Dune, way back when I did my research on it, and why there's some quotes you'll find him in. Probably the first or couple of episodes of my PhD videos, It's quite interesting tracking photos of these people down. It's inspiration of this book. Yeah, for the Matrix, I think is no, it's these are much older books, I think. But the story of the Matrix is Dune. Trinity is Chani, if you like. Paul ends up, blind Messiah. It's a bit obvious. But To Your Scattered Bodies Go, the Fabulous Riverworld series, the beginning of it, this guy waking up, this kind of thing, it's pretty much there, Watson. So hang on a second, just in case, as I saying, Glorifying Terrorism. Let's hang on. I've got a page here. That's where I meant. I've actually got a notebook to scribble all the stuff down that people recommend to me now, so we can keep it up with the different things that we're doing with the show, But yeah, I do know about Ian Watson, but he's kind of more of he would have been an editor of what have we got? Foundation, I think. With it, so outside of his role as a writer, he would have been one of the editors there. I think he was when I talk about how I started doing my research into Frank Herbert's Dune series, it was Ian Watson's comments, I suppose, when they were looking at That was a time when a whole bunch of science fiction writers had kind of died around the same time. Theodore Sturgeon, uh, Frank Herbert, and the main one was, I suppose, the L. Ron Hubbard, and they were discussing why they weren't going to look at Frank Herbert at the time. So instead, they decided to have a look at L. Ron Hubbard because they figured no one's going to look at this cookie guy anymore. So let's just look at him. But it was also it was Ian Watson's comments about why does nobody study Dune, and he sort of I think he put out a call for people to do so, and I kind of listened to it. So that's kind of interesting. So that's how I know Ian Watson, if you like. But let's just back up a wee second to scribble some stuff down here. I have some notes for tonight. Oh yeah, Snow Crash. That was the book that somebody else had recommended to me. I haven't been able to get a copy of it yet. There was a few. I've got a few down here. Here we go. But that's the one I was looking to get a hold of. And because I went to the bookshop to buy it, because I didn't have it, I picked that up instead. Excuse me. Glorifying terrorism. I like the sound of that. British anthology. Let's see. I actually thought you were talking about one of the anti-terrorism manuals I've got here. Edited by Farah Mendelsohn. As a sci-fi protest against the new laws being passed in the wake of the 2005 London Underground bombing. Okay. That's interesting. Watson's trippy, The Files of Memory and the Gardens of Delight. Yeah. So I'll just back up and read these. So Justin saying, I can recommend myself, but it feels awkward, even though I've been writing sci-fi mystery since 1986. That's not a problem. We often talk about how well science fiction authors promote their own work. So work away if you want to tell us. We'll be happy to. Yeah. If you're a science fiction writer, Justin, sure, I'll be happy to interview you sometime if you like. Lots of splendid stories in it, besides for mine, Ian Watson and more. Excellent. It's the inspiration of this book. That's in relation to The Matrix. Yeah. So, yeah, if anybody's not familiar with Philip Jose Farmer's Riverworld series, that's them there. Hang on. Starting this way and going up. There's a wee box set I have. I love these. This kind of thing. But the Riverworld is a great. It's a wonderful set of stories. All of the characters are historical, and it's a book that's led me to read about so many people, but in particular led me to Richard Francis Burton, who I'm a big fan of, Alice Liddell, and who else is in it? Samuel Longhorn Clements, Mark Twain's a character, John de Longford's a character. It's a really, really cracking set of books. Somebody tried to turn it into a really bad miniseries, and they got rid of Richard Francis Burton as the main character and made him into an American astronaut, which was a bit rubbish, especially because he's one of the most fascinating human beings that have ever existed, So just I'm saying, Glorifying Terrorism 2007, edited by Farah Mendelsohn, is a sci-fi protest against the new laws being passed in the wake of the 2005 London underground bombings. Colleges and Campbell saying Watson is trippy, The Files of Memory, Gardens of Delight. The Flies of Memory, not Files. Okay. And two pieces, just in case of saying, in two pieces. Number one is The Rite of Passage, somewhat usually published in the scientific peer review Canadian Journal of Bioethics, volume number 4, 2022, available for free as a PDF on the journal's homepage. And Andy Conlett saying, some people say Bene Gesserit and Dune are Jesuit. Frank Herbert say this himself. The Bene Gesserit are based on Frank Herbert's maternal aunts, who are Irish Catholic. And yes, it's Jesuit. So if you look into Frank Herbert's family history, they are very much based on the Jesuits, though they're not a religious order in the book. Bene meaning good, if you like, but there's other meanings to Bene depending on which language you pick. But yes, indeed. Anti-Complot, I've got a whole set of videos, a complete set of my PhD is on Frank Herbert's Dune series, and they're on the station here. I don't know how many there are, 36 videos covering about 11 and a half hours work, 11 and a half hours worth of videos. If you like, it's my entire PhD, word for word, with all the footnotes, references, everything's in it. It's the first of its kind, as far as I know. Excuse me. So it's all there if you want to check it out. You'll find it on my playlists under Frank Herbert's Dune series, piled higher and deeper. There's two versions of it. One's when I originally did it, but there's a second version of it which is remastered sound title to get the French subtitles up on it as well. But it's all there, sir. Check it out. If you, I'm the guy to ask if you want. But yes, indeed, very much based on the Jesuits, I think. The name, anyway. You know. Just in case, too, says the street where I yelled your name. Same journal, number 5, number 2, Canadian Journal of Bioethics. I'll scribble this down. Journal of Bioethics. Number 4, 2022. PDF on the journal's homepage. Okay. The street where I yelled your name, same journal. Volume 5, number 2, 2022. Thank you. Check that stuff out and get a bit of time. Yeah, I've got all the old I've got a whole shebang of foundation journals over here and a few others. Like extrapolation, stuff like that. Excuse me. Pardon me. But yeah, always happy for recommendations and stuff. I think, was it somebody asking about my, it was favorite films, wasn't it, and stuff like that. Yeah. But so yeah, just I suppose, in terms of anybody who hasn't seen it, by the way, just to wrap up that with Spaceman, check it out. And it's I found it an engrossing film, and as I said, I'm really enjoying the book by Yaroslav Kalfar at the minute. It's a cracker. The only other thing, a couple of other things I was going to chat about tonight, I suppose, was if anybody, I was wondering if any of you had seen The Three-Body Problem, and we're going to have a chat about Late Night with the Devil, just because I'd seen both of those as well. And Late Night with the Devil, I think, really impressed me as, my kind of horror film, if you know what I mean. And again, possibly an antidote, I suppose, to the stuff that's coming out of America at the minute. Yeah, just the blurb. It's edited by Cameron, written, directed, and edited by Cameron and Colin Cairns. It stars David Dismalchian, Laura Gordon, Ian Bliss, Faisal Bazi, Ingrid Torelli, Rhys O'Terry, Georgina Haig, and Josh Quantart. Framed as a found footage film within a documentary prologue, it focuses on a Halloween night 1977 talk show episode in which the host, the ambitious Jack Delroy, invites a purportedly possessed girl on the program in an attempt to boost ratings. So it says it's an international co-production of Australia, the United States, and the United Arab Emirates. And it's just sort of come out. It's hit the cinemas here at the minute. And I heard something strange, and I'm not actually sure if it's true, and I want to find out. It is true. There you go. The thing that I was curious about, I think it's a wonderful horror film that's kind of gives all sorts of little nods to all sorts of things, is that Michael Ironside is the narrator. We're talking about favourite actors. My favourite actors are an odd bunch of people, but Michael Ironside is in my top 5 all-time actors. I love him. I think he's everything he's in is brilliant. And he's in so many good sci-fi and fantasy properties, etc. And the person born to say they sucked his brains out, But it's just saying, I thought it was a cracking little film, but I had not. I just kind of going. I knew that voice, but there you go. My mystery has been solved. I wasn't sure if it was him. It is. It's Michael Ironside doing the narration, and it's a cracking little film. Very much in the cinema watching it. It's framed like television. And what would actually be really good actually is once this film gets out of the movies and you get a chance to see it on TV. I think it would be particularly good. But we're just talking about this idea that it's this kind of late night chat show host who's not doing so well, and you get the sense that he kind of has sold his soul a little bit to get a bit further and stuff like this, and it's it's very, very good. David Dasmalchian, who we hardly saw at all in June, as Jack Delroy. The show he hosts is called Night Owls, if you like, and I suppose these kind of American talk show hosts this kind of thing, and it has, I don't know, it's got elements of The Exorcist to it, and it's mesmerizing. It was such a joy to watch, and when the horror happens, it's wee, and it's not afraid to go for it. But the whole show is absolutely mesmerizing. It's not something I really want to give away too much. Again, I just wanted to recommend it, and say how much I enjoyed it. And I don't know if any of you have seen it yet, but if you haven't, so horror is not our biggest thing on the station, but I'd highly recommend it. Let's have a wee look. Just in case I said, the two pieces mentioned is a novelette and a long shorty set in the same near future. Anton Complan, tu peux ton sang froid. Sorry, I like saying that. Because the Kwisatz Haderach is in Spanish of Jewish Kabbalah. It's a word for magic teleportation. Yeah, there's several words for it. Kwisatz Haderach, the shortening of the way. The English word we would use is bilocation, if you like. And yeah, we talk all about it. I got slagged off a bit because I put in all the different variations of Kwisatz Haderach. But yeah, oddly enough, I was having a wee chat with Dr. Cara Kennedy just before I popped on tonight. I was just recommending some science fiction to her. But if you want to know something about Dune, for those who are probably catching the three-body problem at the minute, you'll see this book referenced in it quite heavily. In fact, I think the whole episode is named after The Stars My Destination. This book's also known as Tiger, and is considered by many to be the best science fiction novel. To me, it's definitely in the top 10. If you read this book, you'll like this one, Anti-Complot. So this book, we got The Demolished Man in 1953, and this one in 1956. And if you read this story, Gully Foyle is one of the great anti-heroes of science fiction. It's a powerhouse of science fiction. It's so influential. So the influence on this on the three-body problem is blatantly obvious. But if you get to the back of this book, Gully Foyle goes to Arrakis. And he talks about these yellow as the sun, gigantic, thunderous in the silent waste of space, at last invaded by a creature that was once gulled. The creature hung gulping on the beach of the universe, nearer death than life, nearer the future than the past, 10 leagues beyond the wide world's end. It wandered at the masses of dust, meteor, and motes that girdled Canopus in a broad flat ring like the rings of Saturn in the breath of Saturn's orbit. Gully Foyle goes to Arrakis, and there's a worm there. That's what, 56, 4, 7 years before June. Herbert, I think we were saying about it, this, bad writers borrow, good writers steal, but Herbert has certainly stolen a lot from quite a fair bit of other books. Some of them are quite well known, like the Seven Pillars of Wisdom, but my particular one on it is Erewhon, the novel by Samuel Butler. He pilfered it heavily. The Unborn Prescience, all of these kind of things, So if anybody's not aware of that, check it out. We've got all sorts of stuff on it there up on the channel. But let's back up, catch up with your comments, folks. Scroll up here. Let's see. Yeah, magic to being in two places at once is kind of the idea of the Kwisatz Haderach, isn't it? Carlos says his company got to go. See you guys. All the best. Carlos, thanks very much for joining us. Um, just in case Andy Compound tu peux ton sang. Yes, lots of names and terms from June keep popping up in ancient scriptures, not only Hebrew. Yeah, we do a book club, guys. We're into Bengali this week. We've got there's so many different things in June, and we've been annotating the book. So the amount of languages that are there is ridiculous. I can tell you that the language of the Imperium in June is Gaelic. But think of Frank as kind of German Irish, isn't he? If you like, that's his family background. Oh, but last summer, Justin, just in case I scriptures, said thanks, Justin. Just in case, in last summer I watched the entire original Chinese 30-episode series of Three Body with English subtitles on YouTube. Is splendid. My understanding is it's going to get released shortly. I'd really like to see it. I think I'm going to have a wee chat about the Three Body problem as well tonight, actually, just in the series. And I've watched it myself and thought it's not bad, but they've obviously seriously altered it for a Western audience, haven't they? And I'm not. I always wonder why people do this. I suppose it's maybe I think they possibly couldn't handle so many Chinese characters and Chinese names and Chinese history, etc. But as I was reading the book, I totally got into it. Had no problem with it. But we've got a few of the Game of Thrones actors, and we have Liam Cunningham there as well. He's from Northern Ireland. We all like to point out. So I kind of enjoyed it in terms of what they've done, and it's a book that, you know what, there's you can't help but dumb this book down, because it's a tricky one, isn't it? The whole series of books that are Remembrance of Earth's Past trilogy is, for some people, really difficult to get their head around. Some of the concepts and stuff. Somebody on here put it brilliantly that it was Xi Shin Lu's Remembrance of Earth's Past is a bit like weaponizing the Reverend Edwin A. Abbott's Flatland. I thought it was a great way of putting it. I was discussing that I had a solution to the dark forest problem myself, and I've written a little haiku for Xi Shin Lu, and I might just publish it up on the station actually at some point if it's sitting here somewhere. But I have a haiku for Lou regarding the dark forest. Pardon me, excuse me. But I'd really like to see that, Justin, to be honest with you. Colleges and cannibals saying, right, I'm way still not caught up with this ridiculous British Standard Time. Thanks for hosting, Doc. Good night. No problem. Yeah, we are jumping ahead an hour and all this kind of stuff. GMT +1. That's annoying. It wrecks my sleep, so it does, Just in case, saying nighty night. Peace and shamrocks. Excellent. I'm interested in mystical things in June. I will try to find this book. Anti-Complot on my station is Frank, a set of videos, about 36 of them, called Frank. I just called it Frank Herbert's June series, piled higher and deeper. Is that what I call my own channel? I don't know. That's my PhD, and basically what you'll find on it is, let me just quickly check here. Hang on, what's the name of my playlist? There are a whole bunch of stuff on it. So there's let's see, Frank Herbert's June series, PhD, piled higher and deeper, remastered. It's 37 videos, where that's them all put together, and there's 10 videos there, but it's the whole thing. Fair amount of it, to be honest with you. But in particular, the aspect of the hero stuff, and we take a fair look at that in terms of that. We've got a whole fair amount of that. But I've also done a wee set of videos on the Pelopids in June. In other words, the overlay of the Pelopid family from Greek mythology, and I kind of decided, I thought a lot of people call it the curse of Atreus, the House of Atreus, rather wrongly. And it occurred to me that when people talk about the House of Atreus and the Atreides in June, that there's an awful lot of misconceptions and iconotropy. An iconotropy is the deliberate or accidental misinterpretation of myths. So what I thought I would do is go, here's the Pelopid line. That's the family, by the way. Is there, so their original ancestor is actually Tantalus. So it covers the Greek mythology aspect of that. which I'm a classicist originally, so that's kind of one of my spheres of expertise, if you like. And Fitsit Hadrick is the original. Yeah, I've got it's in my PhD. I've got all of them, but and I got slagged off for my pronunciation, but what I was actually trying to do was overemphasize the differences in all the versions of the word. But I've got about 5 or 6 of them in the PhD. Fitsit Hadrick, yes. And Kwisatz Haderach, yeah. So there you go. But check it. It's all my PhD is all on June, and it's all on this channel, and it's all free. So actually, hopefully, if anybody wants a copy of my PhD, I have it on PDF. If you want an email, sciencefictionstation@gmail.com. I'm having a bit of a chat at the minute with the folks at Jacurutu, and hopefully going to that they're going to let me. Hopefully, have got a wee bit of an email feeder back that they'd be quite happy for me to put my PhD up there, which means that you guys can all go straight to that website and hopefully and download it. And it's a great resource, by the way. It was for me when I was doing my work, but it's a great resource for all stuff on June is jacurutu.com. But yeah, at the minute we're heading we're doing all sorts of things on the etymology within June and the book club, Did you see the movies of Jodorowsky? What do you think about it? I've seen. That's an interesting conversation. Question. Sorry. I've discussed this before. What was it called? The Holy Mountain. I watched it in the 90s on a purple microdot. So I have no idea of knowing what was real in the film and what I was personally hallucinating at the time. But I did watch the documentary on Jodorowsky's Dune. I have a copy of it. I really enjoyed that. I think he's a bit of a nut, but I think if he'd made Dune, it wouldn't be Dune at all. To be honest, certainly based on what he said, Jodorowsky. But he's an interesting chap, yeah. But I have seen his films in the early 90s. I was talking about it the other day that I've been asked about this, but I've always said every time someone talks to me about it, I watched it completely off my head on a very strong microdot. That's LSD, in case you're not sure what I'm talking about. And I haven't watched it since. Just in case there are differences between the two Three Bodies series, the Chinese has more from the novel, but the Netflix has added a little from the rest of the trilogy. Yes, I've noticed that. I suppose it's how time moves in the books. I suppose, Three Body Problem goes up to a point, and then we have that. The Dark Forest, doesn't it? But then the last one kind of jumps back a bit, doesn't it? Death's End. I'd love to know how they're going to film some things in this. I suppose they've had a bit of a go, actually, at some of the dimensional stuff with the Sophon, haven't they? But yeah, they're chunky books, isn't that the thing? As much as I've read them once, I'd love to hit them again, really to sort the science out from it. But the Three Body Problem is not that big, but look at the size of that one compared to the rest of them, But I thoroughly enjoyed them. I said I'm very interested to see what these people here, the Game of Thrones people, really, aren't they? What they're going to do with it? Because they made a right mess of Game of Thrones, I thought, especially the end, And Game of Thrones is something that's highly, how do we put it? Song of Ice and Fire, but they're highly derivative. Whereas Shisha Lu's work it's not derivative; it's just referential and deferential. I think it likes to talk about a lot of science fiction and bring those ideas into it, But I found them really good books. I enjoyed the series. And despite the changes, it's kind of sticking pretty much to the story. But there was stuff that was missing. I think, particularly for Wen Jiu. Is it? Blah, 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 blah. Some of the things that Wen Ji, sorry, UNG. Some of the things that she does in the book are a bit, there's a bit more to her. I thought, you don't get to see her killing the guys at the Red Coast base or anything like that. But I thought Liam Cunningham was very good. What's the detective? I suppose that they've kind of changed him a little bit. He's no longer Chinese. I think he's British, isn't he? Uh, because he's one of I think he's one of the characters that yeah, Dashi, isn't that what you call him? Chi Kwang. I really enjoyed his character in the book. I thought he was quite cool. Very much that noir style of detective, if you know what I mean. The three brick size problem. Yeah, very good, Justin. But yes, there's certainly going to be differences. I really would love to see the Chinese one. What was the thing that was on recently? Was it The Wandering Earth? But it's nice to get to find a Chinese author, I suppose. Chinese stuff that I've read would be pretty old. Pardon me, I'd be a big fan of things like Wu Chang'an's, Journey to the West, and Shine Ai's Outlaws of the Marsh, or the Tale of 108 Heroes and One Bad Man, or All Men Are Brothers. It's got various names, but The Water Margin is the book I'm talking about. So those kind of things will be the stuff that I've read. So it's great to find a good Chinese science fiction writer. As I said, I'm kind of questing to get books from countries and cultures that are science fiction that I have not read. As I said, so the stuff. I mean, I have read Japanese science fiction before. I have read Czechoslovakian science fiction before. That's what I'm reading at the minute. But I've got a bunch of things over here that I'm kind of a couple of authors. Let me just show you who they are. Actually, I've got Octavia Butler's Kindred, which I'm looking forward to reading. There's Karl Čapek's RUR. He's a Czech writer. But the ones that kind of, let's see, these are three. I picked these up actually. It had a little set of books that Penguin Science Fiction Classics had released. And one of them was 10,000 Light Years from Home, which is James Tiptree Jr., which I'd already got a copy of. But the other one was A Billion Years to the End of the World, which was Strugatsky Brothers, who I absolutely adore. But I picked these up simply because I don't think I've read. The first one is The Hair Carpet Weavers, which is Andreas Eschbach. So he's German. I have read German science fiction before, but I've never read him. So this is my to-do list, if you like, and then hit recommendations. And I would have to add Snow Crash to these. Then I've got Dimension of Miracles by Robert Sheckley. Now he's an American writer. So again, and then this one was Angelika Gorodischer. And I think this one is. I think let's have a wee look. Yes, it's from Buenos Aires. She was born in 1928. So yeah, that would be an interesting one for me. So this is just some of these things that I like picking up the science fiction from elsewhere these days. I suppose. And as I said, that there's so much science fiction. It's used to be that you could do quite well reading within it, but I suppose the explosion of sci-fi American writers, etc., and it's become a global thing now. And but I find it fascinating to just try and find stuff from other cultures. I live in, if anybody doesn't really know this, but Northern Ireland, we do not produce science fiction at all. We had two writers kind of prior to the Troubles, but I quickly got out of here. But that was about it. But I live in a country that doesn't produce science fiction writers. And I've kind of science fiction studies and stuff like this are kind of part of my career, which is it's just something I've always found interesting about my own culture, but it's not the case for a lot of other countries around the world, And it's kind of what we put of ourselves in our own place. And science fiction is always kind of modern. It's always about the now, and I'm fascinated by it. I consider it there's stuff in it. There's some real gems, and it's probably the most philosophical form of literature I think there is. Just in case, I'm looking forward to watching Denis Villeneuve's Rendezvous with Rama. I love the original novel and its sequels. Oh, Andreas Eschbach is a friend of mine. Wow, well there you go. We used to hang out together at science fiction festivals in France. Well, that's the first one for me. So you can see what I mean. I will grab anything. I'm not that well off, so I kind of have to choose how to spend my money. And I tend to get books through birthday gift vouchers, this kind of thing, and Christmas presents. My books, but it's not very often I buy new books. I tend to hunt down second-hand ones. But there you go. Andreas Eschbach is a friend of yours. I've got one of his books that I'm really looking forward to reading. But that's kind of how I work, if you see what I mean. Um, I'm very into it. I just wish I could read quicker, read more, and get so many of these things done. Um, but I've been reading science fiction since I was a kid, very young. And not just reading; I absorb what I do for a living, basically. So I'm not very well off, and I just do this for fun to stop me from going mad, basically. But I was actually a carer for a long, long time. The person I cared for passed away about a year and a half ago, so that's kind of life's changed a wee bit. But at the point I was when I was doing my PhD, and I kind of went to all that sort of stuff with my mother passing away and things. So it was kind of I thought I'd throw it up whenever turn it into little videos because I could never get it published or show any interest in it at all. And then of course Denny Villeneuve's Dune has created a sort of explosion of interest in Dune and this kind of thing. But the YouTube algorithm hides me quite badly because we talk about any subject in a grown-up manner. And if you want to talk about Dune in a grown-up manner, you'll have to use lots of keywords that the algorithm doesn't like. So I'm told. But it doesn't really bother me. Andreas Eschbeck wasn't much of a name when we met, but he made it well. One of his novels, Jesus Video, was adopted for a movie. Ah. Hmm. Oh, you see, it's these days I'm more likely to pick up your book if I've not heard of you. If you see what I mean. So I haven't got around to reading this book by him, but let's have a wee look. So Andreas Eschbeck is a German writer. He's born in Ulm. Oh my goodness! If you know the Monty Python sketch about Johann von Gummelbody of Ulm, that's an interesting. That's where I know that place from. As a German writer, primarily of science fiction, his stories that are not clearly in the science fiction genre usually feature elements of the fantastic. Studied aerospace engineering, University of Stuttgart, and later worked as a surfer. His first professional publication was the short story Dolls, published in 1999, German computing magazine C2. His first novel, published in 1995. 9 of his novels have won the Kurt Laswitz Prize. Is that it? One of the most prestigious awards in the German science fiction scene. 4 of his novels have won the Deutsche Science Fiction Prize. Translated into a number of languages, including English, French, Italian, Russian, Serbian, Polish, Turkish, Japanese, and Portuguese. There we go. Jesus Video was adapted for German television. His novel Ein Billion Dollar was adapted for German radio. His only novels translated into English were Der Hartenpicker, published in 2005 as The Carpet Makers. That's what we've got here. So Herr Allerding, published in 2014 as Lord of All Things, and Perry Roden, das größte Abenteuer Roman. Very good, the greatest adventure novel. So it's that's probably why I've not seen too much just in terms of books being published here, But I said I kind of look forward to reading it. There we go. That's interesting. See, I used to study science fiction for a long time, and then we're talking a long, long time ago, and then kind of life went a bit, So, and it was sort of just a couple of years ago. I made a conscious decision, kind of, to come back to it and set up this little YouTube channel, But we've got all sorts of content here, folks, and hopefully we've been kind of occupied with doing live broadcasts with the book club that we do on Dune. We're on the Dune Messiah, and we've made a commitment to go through all 6 of the Dune novels. But this is kind of me wanting to sort of get back into talking about science fiction in general, and I'm hoping to get a few more videos made. Let me see. Anti-Complot says, somebody knows the Japanese man Satoshi Kon. He inspires movies like Black Swan and Inception with his anime movie films. I like his sci-fi anime Paprika. I was going to. That's on net. Was that on Netflix? I haven't seen that yet. That could be quite interesting. Yeah, it kind of caught my eye. Paprika. There's a couple of sort. Was it like a cyberpunky thing? Wasn't it yet? Paprika. Oh, no, not the food. Sorry. Oh, hang on. Got it launching Netflix. Paprika. Yeah, 2006. Around 30. Oh, it's a film, isn't it? That's something. I must have it. I'll check that out. Oh, goodness. The character looks a bit like Sun Wukong on their flying cloud. Just having a wee look there. There's somebody on a flying cloud and they're dressed exactly like Sun Wukong. Oh, they're watching it on a TV. I was going to say, what's that about? Paprika, dressed exactly like Sun Wukong on a cloud with his magic wishing staff and his little ring around his head. Perfect blue, I know that. That's really good. I've seen that. Hang on. Just in case, saying another German author who I'd recommend is Marcus Hammerschmidt. His writing is truly amazing, but I doubt that he's translated into English. I think I've heard that name. And Perfect Blue, Millennium Actress, Paprika, inspiration for Inception. Oui, very good. I thought Inception was quite a good film, but the only thing I thought about it was that it was an absolute failure of the imagination. Because what you can imagine, I've got a pretty vivid imagination, and I just thought that was the thing I thought was a bit about it, but it was an interesting film. Yeah, Marcus Hammerschmidt. Let me have a wee quick check here, Justin. Goodness. General German author. Do we have anything? Glassbench. It's on Amazon.uk. Not seeing it in English. Yeah, German editions. Have we got anything in English? No, I don't think so. That's sadness. Again, well, I don't know. My German's really rusty. I don't know if I could. I read German better than I speak it. Same as the French, as I was saying to Anti Complot. But yeah, it's a pity that it's just the lack of translations for things to get these kind of books out. I think when we read science fiction from people from other cultures and stuff I think it's a very good thing for human society, to be honest, to be open up to ideas. And often we put a lot of our own cultures and our own times and our own problems. Science fiction is almost always about the now, regardless of what our topic is, if you like. But there we go. But listen, folks, I'm about to wrap up because I've just done goodness gracious 4 hours straight of chatting on here tonight. But our goal tonight was just to pop on, have a wee chat, have a wee discussion just about what's relevant and what's going on. And thank you very much for pointing out a few wee things there about a couple of our authors that we didn't know had passed away. So we were just wanting to have a wee natter about. We didn't get to chat too much about the 3-body problem, I suppose, but we'll maybe keep that for another time. But for any of those who are interested out there, we run a book club here on YouTube. We're doing Dune Messiah at the minute. We're about to hit the 16th chapter, and we're on every Thursday at 9 p.m. and we're GMT, Greenwich Mean Time +1 at the minute. That's our time zone. It's a bit of a pain, isn't it? So if anybody'd like to join us for that, and then hopefully I will like to be doing this every week now. So we're trying to have a pop online for a Science Fiction Friday chat, and we're going to probably aim for 11 o'clock at night because of just different audience members, I suppose, trying to where can we find you PDF free book? It's not available just yet. I'm hoping to get some of the chaps to on Jack Urutu. Anti-Complot, if you look at my channel, in fact, I'll just scribble it in here for you now. This is my email address. at the minute if you want a copy of it. So all the videos on the PhD videos are my entire PhD, read word for word, not a single word left out, not a single reference left out. The references are embedded in the video, and then they're presented at footnotes at the endnotes at the end of each episode. But this is my email address. We're science fiction station at gmail.com. There you go. If you want to send me an email, just put into the topic title copy of your PhD. I'll send you a copy in the post, in the email. That's not a problem. Anybody who's asked for one, I give it to anybody who wants a copy. And I'm very happy for people to pass it around, upload it wherever you like, just get it out there. But certainly in terms of a PhD thesis, most of them like this are never ever seen by people. Some parts of my PhD have had over 40,000 views. So in terms of getting the work out, it's been a success, if you like. And it's we're mainly a word of mouth kind of station. But if anybody would like a copy, my PhD is called, the title is Evolution, just Evolution, Ecology, and the Messianic Hero in Frank Herbert's Dune series. That's the three major areas of topic. It's a bigger PhD as you can get in one volume. So I went past my word length. There's about 104,000 words in length, and there's an extra 13,000 words, I think, buried in footnotes. So it's a pretty informative thing on Frank Herbert, Dune, and all of it, really. It covers the three major themes. Oh, you're more than welcome. Anti-Complot saying, okay, thank you. Yeah, anybody who would like a copy, just fire me an email, just saying, send me your PhD, and I'll email it right back to you. And just in case, saying, right, everyone complained that we don't have sufficient literature and translation. Do you know that measured in printed pages, not titles, Europe has less than 1% of the USA fiction market? But USA has 87% of the European. That wouldn't surprise me, I suppose, But America's not I suppose Europe we're talking about. But yeah, science fiction, probably not as big a thing in Europe these days, I think. Even within the UK, I suppose the really big writers, we've lost most of them. They're all dead. There's always like a new generation, but there's a saturation point within science fiction at the minute where there's so much, But as I said, we're talking about authors. I used to have this problem myself in Northern Ireland. During the Troubles, I used to go to a little market called Smithfield in Belfast, and that's where I would be able to buy science fiction books and magazines. And then I used to have to bring them back there as a kid and sell them back to them, to get new ones and stuff like that. But it was always tricky. The two authors that I was telling you about that were Northern Irish were James White and Bob Shaw, and they kind of hung around that shop as well. From what I understood, it had a little community about it, but during the Troubles, we were just bomb stuff. And, no bands would come here. It's very hard to get anything here in Northern Ireland, and it's kind of one of those things. But yeah, America's this big continent, and it's been producing tons of science fiction, hasn't it? But that's kind of the point. It's hard. Sometimes it's hard to get the stuff, and then there's so much, Anti-Complot saying, "Have a nice night to you all." Same to yourself, Anti-Complot. All the very best, and thank you very much for joining us. Just in case, I'm here, 400 US authors share the 87% of the European market, and we're millions of authors trying to make a living on the remaining 13%. Yeah, I suppose that's the thing. If you can make it in America, your market is massive, But it's an interesting point. Listen, folks, I'll just sort of use that to wrap up anyway. But it's very interesting chatting to you all tonight. I've not spoken to some of you guys before tonight, so I hope you will come back and have a chat and bring your science fiction knowledge. I'm not a know-all, and as I point out, that as much as I'm quite the expert, I suppose, in some science fiction, it's such a big field. But I go back with a lot of the classic stuff, way back to the Roman times and stuff. But I'm just always wanting to grab some more and hear your recommendations and stuff, because there's so much gold out there, and it's just, what have you missed? As I said here, Mishima, we've got, it's just wow, Mishima wrote a science fiction book. When did that happen? That's only been available for a couple of years because of translation. It's never been translated into English. So when I thought I must have missed that, I didn't miss it at all. It's a very, very new thing, and it's possibly been available in Japan for a long time, but it's not been available here, So translations are the only. I suppose that's something American authors don't have to struggle with. But yeah. I'm trying to think of who are the big American authors these days. I'm not too sure. It's interesting, but I'd love to have a chat with you again about it, Justin. Anyway, so listen, I'll say, folks, it's getting pretty late, and I've been gabbing straight for 4 hours. So I need fluids and I need a bit of rest. I've got some doggies to sort out with. But I'll just say thank you all very much for joining me at the Doghouse here tonight, our little science fiction station. We'll be back online on Thursday at 9 p.m. GMT +1 with our June Messiah book club. And I need to get a new notebook, but we're hitting chapter 16 there. And then I will hopefully see you again next Friday night at 11 p.m. for a Sci-Fi Friday. And in the meantime, who knows what else we'll put up. Yeah, you never know, we might get something done this week. So I just want to say thank you so much for all your input, all your discussion, all your chat. And I've learned some stuff tonight. And thank you for your recommendations. And time willing, I'll get a chance to look at them, So it just remains for me to say all the very best to you all. Good night, wherever you are. Or maybe good morning. But look after yourselves wherever you are. Take care. Be safe. And we'll see you all real soon, hopefully. Thank you very much for joining me. And good night. Bye-bye.